I'm here today with Julianne Laird, and Julianne represents City to City, and also she's the Canon for church planting in Melbourne. So Julianne, welcome.
Thanks. Nice to be here.
Yeah. Can you start off by just giving us a bit of an outline in terms of what your key responsibilities are, what your key areas of responsibility is in your role of Canon for church planting?
Yeah, so I'm pretty new at this job, and it's also a new position in the Anglican Diocese of Melbourne. There is a bishop for church planting, but yeah, they wanted some people to really be able to spend their time focusing on this. So the main areas that I focus on are finding people, I guess, and how to train them up, and yeah, finding churches that want to plant. And then promotion. So yeah, how do you get people excited about church planting? We have a Facebook group and a Instagram, and I'm often speaking at different things, trying to help people think about, yeah, why church planting is needed. Yeah, so that's the second thing.
That's interesting. So you mentioned looking for church planters. Apart from speaking at things, how do you go about looking for and identifying prospective planters?
Yeah, like mostly how people end up doing church planting are really from the churches themselves. So they often can identify people who would be good at it, and they've come up through their system and yeah, have potential. Obviously, we're looking through colleges, but also just young adults who might have those interest and skills potentially, and yeah, how to actually encourage them and help them think about the option of church planting.
Yeah, that's great. Do you take them through any formal assessment process, or is the main thing to gather people together first and then have more scrutiny later? Could you tell us a bit about the process there?
Yeah, look, we're still working out our process. It's a little bit complicated in that we have quite a lot of ethnic churches or cross-cultural churches that are wanting to plant, and so they often do things a little bit differently and sometimes can't speak the language that well. And we've actually got a group of around 25 to 30 churches that are wanting to plant. We're getting together in a few weeks' time. And yeah, I've been actually super encouraged, like having 25 to 30 Anglican churches who are interested in planting, I just think is absolutely fantastic.
That is fantastic.
Yeah.
So is there any leadership development pathway that you're currently using? Because often there's a gap between the desire to plant and then having people who have been equipped and envisioned to plant.
Yeah, look, we're still finding our feet on that. You know, luckily I work for City to City and they have quite good pathways. Yeah, so we have pre-launch training with the residency, and also we have, you know, application forms, and then being able to go to the intensive, which is 2 weeks of, yeah, doing really deep heart work and also getting skills on, yeah, how to actually do a church plant. Yes. And then we have post-launch sort of training as well. But that's a specific, yeah, training that, yeah, we put on. So I basically just get people to do that, and then they meet people from other denominations as well and different models. So not everybody uses the same model, and so yeah, I'm pretty keen to help people meet with as many different people as possible.
Yeah, no, that's great. So with the models, you mentioned just there the models, are there any particular models that you favour generally, or is it just really completely contextual?
Completely contextual. What I would like is to be able to have the different models fitting into our system. So basically, there are mainly 3 models. One is the churches planting churches model. Yes. So yeah, there's different ways of doing that, but basically you're sent out from a church either to a service, a whole church. You might start off with missional communities that develop into something, but it's actually a specific church sending it out. The other model is that we've mostly seen has been, you know, particular people who might have a heart for church planting. They don't specifically have a church that's sending them, but they're endorsed by the Anglican diocese. And so,
Yes.
and often that they're moving into an area that's not that close to any other church. And so they have a real heart for, like a friend of mine is planting out at Craigieburn. And yeah, he basically gathered people that he knew, all from different churches actually, and then found Christians where he was and found a venue. So he really did it from scratch and got as much support as he could from the diocese. And then the third model is like the micro church, or small sort of church, not necessarily about the main gathering. But yeah, we're trying to work out how all of those fit into the Anglican Church, and my job, I guess, is working out how structurally that fits in and how we can encourage that. So yeah, we don't mind about model, basically.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. And I guess given that there are so many different models that you can use and you're not focusing on one, it probably means that you don't have any defined pathways to connect, for planters to connect with their local communities. But are you seeing that there are any emerging as normal ways or successful ways of connecting with their local communities?
Yeah, like there's a guy out in the west of Melbourne who's wanting to plant in Tarneit. He's set up a food bank just as a way of really getting to know people. There's another guy who's started an Arabic church in Coburg. He basically just wanders down the street and talks to Muslims. And then he's had 4 Muslim men become Christians, actually. I think we need to explore some other ideas in terms of how to really connect in the community, partly because in the greenfields areas where there's nothing, like, some the Baptist churches have set up cafes, but actually there's real community space issues.
Yes.
So a lot of the community spaces are really just booked out back to back, and I wonder if that might be a way that we can serve just by providing spaces. Anyway, so, and also schools is another thing that the Anglican Church can be part of as well. Yes. So there's a whole lot of different ways to go forward. Yeah.
No, that's great. So Julianne, tell us about the church planting that you've seen in recent years. The churches that have been planted, the number of churches perhaps that you've seen planted or in process to be planted. Can you give us any indication there?
Well, I'm sort of new in the job and it's been hard to work out. Of course, there's churches in Melbourne like City on a Hill who've just been amazing at really getting going with church planting, and they've been excellent at having a real vision for the whole of Melbourne and Geelong. There's another guy who's done a church plant. He's about to do another one, Pete Caroline. There's just great people around in terms of who've got that real energy and giftings, it seems, to really get things up and moving. So
has there been anything in particular that has surprised you as you've been immersing yourself in this whole church planting world?
Like I've been surprised how much interest there's been. So the fact that we've got this many people coming, churches who are interested in planting, I think has been massively surprising. I think also there've been some people like Craig Ogden who've really paved the way in terms of that micro church sort of area. I don't know, I've just really seen faithful, great people who've just plodded along without heaps of support, but have really had a vision for church planting. And I'm really thrilled at what God's been able to do despite us, I guess.
You're in Melbourne, you're in the 6th lockdown now, COVID lockdown. How devastating has that been for church planting, or has it provided opportunities for church planting?
I think it's been a bit of both. I think it has been hard for people to come back. I think there's an exhaustion about, being in lockdown.
Yeah.
I don't think church numbers have come back as quickly as people thought. But at the same time, like, people have become Christians, and like, I've had a close friend become a Christian and a husband, and we've just seen people come to faith in that. So there is definitely, and in fact, I was at the dentist this morning and had this fascinating conversation with the dentist. And I don't know, I just feel like there's
an openness.
Yeah, there's definitely an openness.
Yeah. Have the churches that you've been associated with, have they been doing Alpha Online at all?
Yeah. Alpha Online's been really great. Although, like, there's heaps of courses that you potentially could do. And I think online's a really great space because it's safe. You're in your own environment and you can sort of connect in with people at a fairly safe way. So I'll keep doing it once lockdown's over, actually.
Yes.
So.
And I think that's one of the lessons from lockdown, isn't it? That we the new normal shouldn't be the same as the old normal. We have to make sure that our learnings through lockdown aren't lost by us just going back to the old normal again. With the church plants that you're encouraging and working with, is there any particular disciple-making pathway that you encourage?
No. What we've found is that, and this is in sort of research, is that the best disciple-making pathways are the ones that the church planters committed to.
Makes sense.
They're sold on it, and then they'll help other people get sold on it. So really, you just want the person who's doing the church plant to be sold on their way of disciple making, and then they'll make it happen, basically.
That's a great perspective. Actually, I really like that. Again, it's a contingency leadership approach, which is great. Now, Julianne, thank you so much for your time. There's just one final question I'd like to ask you. And do you have any personal vision for church planting? What does Julianne want to see happen with a church planting that's in your area of influence?
I guess I'd like there to be an excitement for church planting and just anything new and innovative. But I also want there to be a balance of it, the realism. Is that a word? They're being realistic about what it means. So you want that really good balance of freedom to be able to try new things, to reach out and helping people become Christians, but at the same time really knowing the cost and going in really prepared would be sort of what I would like to see. But like, I think to be able to outgrow or outnumber the churches that probably do need to close down, and that we outnumber it with the amount of new churches that can start. With the green shoots that are springing up. That's great. Julianne, thank you so much for your time today, and really appreciate you and what you're doing. And I look forward to continuing to see the great work that you're doing, both for city to city and also for the Anglicans in Melbourne. Thanks, Tim. Really great.